3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone, or good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where or when you're coming from. I am Craig Anderson. I am one of the friendly and enthusiastic librarians here at Kean University. As you can see, I'm not actually at Kean University. I'm in my spare room here personally. And this suave-looking gentleman here is my character in the world of The Elder Scrolls. Some of you might be familiar with The Elder Scrolls. It is a video game franchise. They've come up with games like Skyrim and Morrowind, things like that. This is the online version. This is the massively multiplayer online role-playing game, The Elder Scrolls Online. And if you know absolutely nothing about video games or gaming in general, please don't panic. I'm not going to really be talking about video games. I'm going to be talking about libraries and library research. So I've brought you all here to the Grand Library in Vivec City. This is a fictional library. It's a beautiful library. Fictional library in the world of the Elder Scrolls. And looking around here, this is really what people think of when they think of a library, isn't it? When most people think of a library, they think of a big building with books, lots of bookshelves, usually multiple floors. They've got a big map of the region down there with the giant volcano. This is the way that information used to be. It used to be kind of cataloged and organized. If you wanted to know anything about anything, you would go to the nearest library and you would check out a bunch of books and you would read them, and that's how you would get information into your brain from other people's brains. So I'm just going to take a turn about this library. As I said before, this is like kind of the perfect model of a medieval European library. We've got stacks of books here. Apparently, somebody really needs to reshelve these books. They really need to hire more people. They've got scrolls on the tables here, maps, big portraits. There's a librarian here, Librarian Braden. He seems to be ignoring me. So yeah, I've brought you here just to show you kind of where it all started. How they used to do scholarly research in the old days. So back, especially in the medieval era and, the ages before that, information like scholarly research, things like that used to be kind of secretive. It used to only be available to the rich and to the elite, and especially to the clergy. They didn't want the common folk, the peasantry, having access to all of this scholarly information. They kind of wanted to keep them in the dark, so that only the most powerful people in the country would be the educated as well. And it was that way for a very long time, and then fairly recently, we began to see what's called a democratization of information. With the invention of the printing press in the 1440s, suddenly anybody could get their information, their knowledge out to the public. Books started to be written, like just kind of mass-produced. So it was a lot easier to come across scholarly information within your local library. If you had a library in your city or your town, information became freer to the public. So there's a small problem with that, however. If you have a lot of information, and you see this a lot, like with the rise of, the magical world of the internet, when information can be gotten anywhere, then how do you really know if that information is accurate or reliable? There we go. How do you kind of evaluate that information to be able to tell what you can trust? So we've got systems in place now where, like, anybody can write a book, anybody can put information out there on the internet, but you shouldn't trust everything you read. So what the world of colleges and universities have done is we've we've started publishing things in what are called scholarly journals. Some people call them peer-reviewed journals. Some people call them refereed journals. And I always thought, I know what a journal is. A journal is like when your 8th grade English teacher makes you keep track of everything you're doing throughout the day and what you're thinking about them in a little diary of sorts. That's what a journal is, right? Well, scholarly journals are a little bit different. A scholarly journal is a publication in which anybody can submit an article to. If you want to submit an article to a scholarly journal, you can do that. But before your article gets published, it first goes through what's called a peer review process. That article will be reviewed by your peers in that field. Now, these peers aren't people who were, went to the same high school as you or who were about the same age as you. These are people who are other experts in that field. So if you are an expert in the field of the digital humanities, Dr. Zamora at Kane would be one of your peers. She is another expert in that field. If you are doing research on prehistoric fish, there's Dr. Yu in the biology department who would be one of your peers. So when you submit an article to a peer-reviewed journal, that article gets reviewed by your peers, and they evaluate that article to see if it's reliable, to see if you did your methodology properly, to make sure that the information isn't biased, that you didn't just make anything up. And then once you get published in a peer-reviewed journal, other people can know that the information that you're writing is reliable and trustworthy. So let's say that my old guy character here in The Elder Scrolls, let's say I'm doing some scholarly research of my own. Let's say I'm researching the animals and plants of this region, Vardenfell. That's probably supposed to be pronounced Wardenfell. But this is the flora and fauna, the plants and animals of Wardenfell. And so I go to this bookshelf and I take out this book on the flora and fauna, and I see that, it talks about the Red Mountain. That's that big volcano that we saw the model of downstairs. It talks about the plant life, how it's fertilized by the volcanic activity, funguses. We talk about a town called Balmora here in this article, southwest and inland from the Bitter Coast. I'm going to go there in a little bit. And they have different species like ash hoppers and giant Xylaria fungi. Travelers beware. Watch out for cliff striders. And they talk about this kind of creature called a fetcher fly. They build hives where they can tap volcanic heat to gestate their eggs. That's really interesting. I'm a little fascinated by that. So you know what? I think I'm going to go do some research of my own. So what I've just done here, reading this research, this is what some people call a literature review. A literature review, again, when you think of literature, you think of the great works of literature, War and Peace and Ernest Hemingway and things like that. But from a scholarly perspective, a literature review is where you're about to research something. So the first thing you do is you go to a library or, do library research online. We're going to be doing some of that pretty soon. And you find out what information has already been written about that particular topic. If I'm going to start writing a scholarly paper about fetcher flies, I first want to know what other people have had to say about them. And I know there's another book in there somewhere about fetcher flies, but I couldn't find it when I started recording, so I decided just to give up on it. If I were any kind of scholarly research, I would have found that other book on fetcher flies. So, yeah, if I'm going to claim to be an expert in this field, I first want to know who else has written about Fetcher flies and what they've said about them. And I might find out that someone has written an extensive scholarly article about Fetcher flies, and they've said A, B, and C, and then this other author has said X, Y, and Z, and I think, well, I agree with this one, but not this one, and so I'm going to do my own research to find out a few discrepancies in what they have to say about these creatures. So I'm going to go to this blue, flamey, fiery thing, because that's a lot easier way to get to Balmora City. None of you want to see me take the time to walk all the way to Balmora City. I do actually have a horse. It was given to me by a friend. I think it actually runs slower than than my character runs. So I won't be using that right now. But again, it was a gift, so, you don't look it in the mouth. So I'm going through Balmora City here, just kind of running my way through here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the slopes of the big volcano, Red Mountain, I think it's called. I just did my research. You would think I would know this off the top of my head. It's a gorgeous day here in Balmora City. So I'm going to go to this big mountain volcano thing, and I'm going to do some research on Fetcher flies. Usually you can find them just kind of flying around. I think that was a dragonfly. And it always amuses me that you can just kind of like reach out and grab a Fetcher fly if you happen to find one. Grab the Fetcher fly. I'm going to use that as bait later when I go fishing. After I do my due diligence and do my scholarly research. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at this Fetcher fly nest here. That's what these two things are. And the easiest way to do this kind of scholarly research is to just get up close and personal with the Fetcher fly nest. And usually when you do that, it blows up in your face, and then all these Fetcher flies come at you, and you scream. And you turn yourself into lightning, because that's usually more helpful. They're getting a little stroppy. Ooh. More Fetcher flies. I'm gonna die. Oof. That was a close one. I usually have a little dragon creature that helps me out in these situations, but he gets a little distracting. So, what did that teach me about Fetcher flies? Absolutely nothing. Well, I found out that you probably shouldn't get too close to their nests, because they blow up in your face, and then all the Fetcher flies come out and attack you. So now I'm going to do what any self-respecting scholarly researcher would do, having done my field research and having discovered all of this new information about these Fetcher flies. I'm going to go back in town, and I'm going to go straight to the tavern. So yeah, again, this is what you have to do when you're doing scholarly research. Oop, I have to go across the street. Across the river, rather. If you're doing your own research, if you're doing primary research, you do have to go into the field. What did I just do? No, I didn't mean to do that. No, unsummon. I just summoned a big thing. Really? Okay. Is he gonna fall apart now? Okay. Sorry about that. I feel like the town guards would have something to say about me doing that. So now I'm going to go into the tavern and sit down, have a seat. I can't seem to get my character to face the table. Actually, no, I should be standing for this. So, as I've been saying, that's the old way of doing research is, well, not really. Going out in the field is still, field research is still valid, but I mean as far as going into a dusty old library and looking through books. In the old days, you used to have to just kind of hope that your local library had the information that you were looking for. And I mean, we still do have interlibrary loan programs, and we had those in the old days too, but fortunately now we have access to lots of scholarly research online. So I'm just going to go to a different screen here, and I'm going to open up this window. And then, should I just go back into the game? Is that what I can do? No, I can go directly to... now, this is the Nancy Thompson Learning Commons homepage right here. You can get here by going to learningcommons.kane.edu. And that will take you, that will redirect you to this website right here. And this is how I'm going to do my research in the 21st century. I'm going to close this little chat window, and I'm going to go to our A to Z list of databases. Now, if you want to do research now, it's best to use these online databases. Kane University subscribes to a whole bunch of databases. There's 234 of these. And they're on a wide variety of subjects. If you want to find out which database is best for which subject, you would just pull down this menu, and this would tell you which is best for which subject. I'm going to go under the education databases for right now. I'm not actually going to do research on Fetcherflies. I'm going to do research on video games in education. So I'm going to go to, I'd probably be best going to the EBSCO education resources. I'm actually going to go to the ERIC database. That's one of the best ones within the EBSCO education resources. So I'm going to click on ERIC right now. And I'm going to log in from here. And I really hope you're all seeing this because I've been having technical difficulties all day. So I'm going to do a search right here on video games and education. I'm going to let my character just kind of stand there idly while I do searching on video games and education. This is already an education database, so I probably don't have to use the word education, but let me do video games and learning. Now, there's two things I'm doing here. When I use the word video games, I'm putting those words in quotation marks. Putting words in quotation marks will make sure that those two words stay together in the search. I don't want to find an article that has some other kind of games in one paragraph and some other video in another paragraph. I only want it when it's video games both together. And with the term learning, it's actually trying to suggest to me that I just type out the word learning, but I don't want to do that. With the word learning, I'm using something called truncation. Truncation is when you cut the ending off a word and replace it with a symbol, in this case the asterisk. So this will find any word that starts L-E-A-R-N, etc. So it'll find the word learning, it'll find the word learners, learning, learners, learned, and other variations of the word learn. And you can do that with a lot of other different words. Any word that has a lot of different variations. If I wanted to do something on the psychology of gaming, I could do psych, and this would find the word psychology, psychologist, psychologists, plural, psychoanalysis, psychopaths. I don't think I want to quite include all of these words. I just want to start with just video games and learning. Learning, learned, learners. And I'm going to do a search here. Now this found me 1,299 articles. Hopefully you can see that. One thing I forgot to do, and I spent so much time talking about it, is limiting my results to only peer-reviewed information. There's a little checkbox on the side here where you can limit to only peer-reviewed articles, because that's what I really want. These articles go back to 1981. That's when I was in like 4th grade, so I'm going to pull this over a little bit to keep it in more recent times. And now I'm down to 459 articles. That's a little bit more manageable. So again, this is kind of like doing my own literature review. I want to go through this list and find which articles are best for my particular topic. Some of them just kind of touch about video game. This is Video Game Affinity in English language instruction. That might not be what I'm interested in. This is Video Games and Learning in South Africa. That might be really helpful. But I can kind of go through these and see which articles are the best for my particular take on video games and learning. So a lot of these you'll see do actually have the full text. They'll have like the PDF full text here. PDF full text means it's got the full article right here. We can click on PDF full text, and this will show us the full article. There's the abstract. It's kind of like a summary. And then it goes into the article. Look at this. It's got a literature review right here. So when this person wrote the article, they first went and saw what other people had to say about this particular topic. It seems like this person is quoting James Paul Gee a lot. He wrote a lot about video games and education. Is this actually written by James Paul Gee? No, it's Marta Halakshevitz. I apologize, Marta. I really abused the pronunciation of your surname. So yeah, we can look through the literature review and we can see where this person found their information. We might decide, you got a lot of information here from James Paul Gee. I want to go look up an article by James Paul Gee and see what, he had to say, go right to the source. But then this person talks about their research methods. They probably didn't go out in the wilderness and attack a nest of insects. The participants in their study. And then as we go down, this is a very long article. How long is this? Oh, it's only 16 pages. That's not so bad. As we go down to the bottom of this, they show the implications of this study and finally the conclusion. And because we found this in a peer-reviewed journal called TESLEJ, we know that this is reliable information. We know that if we use this information in our own paper, that that it came from a reliable source. One of the good things to do if you're doing a lot of scholarly research is to look under these subject headings here. They got subjects on video games, cultural awareness, intercultural communication. So if I'm looking through all these articles and none of them are helpful to me, I can at least look under the subjects and see, oh, you know what? Maybe I should have tried searching for computer games specifically instead of just video games. I could search for computer games, and I can change this up here instead of video to computer game and learn. And I could do that search. Oh, this seems really complicated. Okay. Oh, StarCraft. That is a game I've heard of. So that sometimes these articles are not available full text, or sometimes they say full text from ERIC. That's the ERIC database. It's not actually owned by the EBSCO company. It's actually its own company. So sometimes if you click on full text from ERIC, you can go to that website and find it. Although sometimes they charge you for them. They're not supposed to, or at least not through this database, but sometimes they do. So that's unfortunate. Sometimes they have this thing called the full text finder. That means that the ERIC database doesn't have this article, but if you click on full text finder, it should find the article for you, even if it's available in a different database. And so here's the full article, and it's in a different database. Oh no, we have to actually find the article in whichever issue, but we won't do that right now. Okay, so that's the ERIC database, and it's owned by the EBSCO-host company, or the EBSCO-host company has licensing to it. So that's how we would do information research from a, let me just kind of make this window invisible. And now we're back in game. So that's how we do information research in our modern, enlightened period. So I'm just going to go out this way. I'm going to thank the the Randy Netch Inn for allowing me to use their EBSCO online database. You know, as most medieval taverns have access to database information, so that's not so strange. Did I go out the wrong way? I did. I'm going to go back to the library. So I hope you've enjoyed this little excursion into scholarly research and information gathering in the world of the Elder Scrolls. If you do play the Elder Scrolls, please feel free to come look for me. I'm going to put my contact information up in just a minute. Let me go back to the library, of course. Whoa, wrong way. It's amazing that I can do a jump like that at my age. So yeah, thank you for joining us. I'm going to put... Wait, I'm going to open this window back open again. And I'm going to put my contact information on the screen. Ah, wrong one. There we go. I don't know if this will work. There we go. Okay. Again, thank you all for coming. There's my contact information. If you have any questions about anything that I've discussed in here, whether it's video games or scholarly research, please feel free to contact me. You can contact me at cjanders@kane.edu, or that's my office phone number. I'm not always in my office. Today I'm not in my office. You can find me on Instagram at librarian in real life. You don't have to friend me on Instagram or whatever. It's mostly pictures of my cats and my wife's cooking. I'm also librarian in real life. That's my username in Elder Scrolls if you want to try and track me down there. So again, thanks for coming. Hope to see you in the library soon. And Skull. Bye now.